education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business minds, pioneering.
Welcome the CEO Show, where we always bring you great inspiration from notable personalities from the business industry, people who have shown educative, and we are going to learn. Tonight, our guest embodies a lot of greatness. He embodies and resilience. I am your host, Dan. Our guest tonight is Mr. Okwara, the CEO and the man behind the Noble Hotel, and also the founder of Alphax Academy. And also remember that this is a great farmer. And stay glued. We are going to learn from his journey to where he has been. And also, when we talk about this is somebody, when we talk about success, the story get into details and dig into the journey of a man that he has become. Mr. Okwara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dan. Really.
We learned a lot about you, but tonight I'm sure there is a lot that people don't know about. Just about your background, where have you been?
Well, in the sense that I didn't know what I was going to face. I've never been on a live stream before.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you. I was in Gishu.
Mm-hmm.
I actually schooled here. People think that I came from out. I schooled here. I went to Rift Valley Technical High School.
Mm-hmm.
So I schooled there from 81 to 85. That's
Mm-hmm.
when I did my Form 1 to Form 4.
Okay, that was RVTTI.
It was R, you may want to call us analog, you know, mimi ni wale wase, the old system. Yeah, and I went to Nakuru High, did my Form 5 to Form. You know, it still runs in my blood because I really love building. But when I got to high school, when I got to Form 5, Form 6, I to get the necessary points to go and do architecture. I got extra religious, you know, niliomba sana nikashindwa kusoma. Pisa, I was chairman, mimi ndio nilikuwa nasikia vile Mungu anasema, naambia watu.
Wewe ndio unapeana neno.
Peana neno. And when I went to university, I did a Bachelor of Science, General Science, but mathematics. So I did maths. They called it triple math. Pure statistics. Sorry, I did statistics. I did pure maths. And there was something they called data processing. I developed interest in computers.
In computers?
Yes, I developed interest in computers. When I was leaving home, my father, go and don't come back.
Reason being?
Si nilikuwa nimekuwa mkubwa.
Oh, okay.
So go and don't come back. Wenda ni utafute kazi.
Enda tafuta maisha yako huko mbele.
Tafuta maisha yako. And you don't come back. This is now no longer your home. Tafuta kwako. So I think.
How old were you?
Maybe 20. You know, to the university. And Dad told me go. And utafuta mali utakaa huko si kwenu. I got upset with that statement, but when I sit down to think about when I left university, I didn't go home. You know, I remember sitting with, you know, friends who were telling me, oh, you know, I have my relative here, my relative here. I'm going to get a job here. I do not have a relative in Nairobi. Remember the day we finished our classes, I took off and went to look for a job in the streets of Nairobi.
That
And
is
I
now
was
after campus?
After campus. So I left.
Okay. With bachelor's now in...
I hadn't graduated as a Bachelor of Science, but I was going to graduate in 1991.
Okay.
But towards September, October, I left and went to look for a job in Nairobi. Akisema amesema. So, you know, if you go home, kitanda hakuna nyumba ya kukaa, utakaa hapo tu. So, you know, really, I left university and went. That was
where did you get the 500 now?
We, you know, fortunately during our times, we used to have boom. There's something they call booms. So when you go to the university, you're given. I rented one of the servant quarters in the university, and a lecturer was very kind to give it to me at 500 shillings.
Okay.
And so my life started. I went and slept on the floor. You know, we never went to university with a mattress, so I bought a 2-inch mattress. I slept on the floor, and I started work.
Okay. How was the first day? How was it?
I'm one of these guys. I'm very adventurous. I'm very adventurous. So this was an adventure for me. I loved it. And you know, when I rented this house, I wasn't alone. I also had a friend who used. But I think for me, the most important thing here was that the first day I went to look for a job, I got it. I came back and I was being paid 5,000 shillings. I was going to teach computers, and those days computers were, you know, the in thing. So the first place I asked for a job, they said, come tomorrow. I think they were paying me 3,000. I went to look for another one. They were paying me 5,000. Ile ingine nikawacha. The rent was 500. So, you know, all systems go. I was already ready for life. And that is how I entrenched myself in Nairobi, you know, began to understand how Nairobi looks like. I knew where Gikomba is, I knew where Karen is. And I think like today I know Nairobi like the back of my hand, because I stayed there for around 10 years before I came down to Eldoret. And so that to me, I moved. I'm a very impatient person. I get bored very easily with something that is routine.
With, something that is done every day.
So I think I wasn't a very good employee in the sense that I was always very erratic. Very good in terms of my job. When it comes to execution, I do a very good job. But then very difficult to hold. You know,
you get bored easily.
I get bored. So I got bored with the first job, and I got another job which I think was paying me 9,000 shillings. And I moved.
That was a greener pasture now.
Greener pasture, Nairobi, 1992 was good money, really, you know. Nalipa nyumba 500. In fact, I moved from that house mobile. If you want to communicate to your dad, you use a telegram, you know. Then the telegram, attend a post office, achukue, or you go to a booth. We were lucky enough, we had a landline in the house.
Okay.
But, you know, that was a luxury for him. And, you know, calling him, telling him you've gotten a job, you know, wasn't going to excite him. I started my life. And I'd just like to say that for me, that was the most exciting thing. When I look back, initially I thought my father was being cruel. I thought my father was being harsh, father 100 times, because I wouldn't be what I am today. The resilience, the persistence, you know, being able to live in a hardship environment. You know, I did some business, I didn't do it too well. I got my hands handicapped, I was thrown in Central Police Station. I think it really built me, it built my character. And helped me to be the man that can face anything in life. And so I think briefly that is my story. I'm, you know, in the process of so nilimwonekania na akanionekania. So we got married in 1994. We have 2 sons. My firstborn is father of 2. My wife and I run the Noble, and we also run Alfax College.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I am. I'm a politician than a businessman. Politics has never been my forte. It's never been my lifeline. I got into politics because I was puende huko Nambale, kenda Nambale wakaniambia nirudi huku, mimi sio mtu wa huko. But it's all adventure.
Yeah.
I have no hard feelings. Generally, I'm a businessman, and that's what I would like to be identified with. It was not very exciting because sometimes honorable, puts off people. When I die, call me K.Okwara, the businessman. I think that's okay.
To you is okay,
yes.
Okay, Mr. Okwara.
I hope I've introduced myself well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just to pick one, two issues that you. So this whole growth and you attributing to your dad in terms of harshness and the way he was bold to bring you up. But do you think in the current generation you can be too bold to?
But I'll tell you, when you are caught up between a rock and a hard place, and if you do not do anything, you will drown.
Very true.
I push you into a pool, and you have to fight for your life, believe. But then when you have a fallback, and this is the problem with the generation that we have today. When you have a fallback, at the end of the times lose focus. I think when my father told me go, and this is not your home any longer, you go. It sank in me, and it built resilience, the adventure, the lion in me, the go-getter in me, because I knew I have no alternative. You are in the wilderness, you want to eat. And, hunting here may mean you have to do a kill. You have to travel over, bushes to look for your prey. That particular time I thought so. And so I did not have any known relative in Nairobi. If I got sick, there's a time I rolled with a car, and he got to learn later that, kumbe this gentleman, in fact, when he learned, he didn't even bother. He said, "We jitete." Do you get me? Not that he was a bad guy, but I think he built that resilience. The generation we have today, things have changed. Things have your child the way some of us were brought up. We're in a generation of what they call the instant, whatever you want, you get. We're in a generation where information flows very easily. You can actually go to the internet and get anything that you want. We never used to have internet during our times. Even a young child. So by the time a child is growing, he knows too much. You get me? He knows too much. Caging that girl or that and that, but they can also debate with you. Do you get me? So my time, our time and this time, I think the dynamics are different. But then I think at the end of the day, you have to get to a point where you need to build resilience and know that, your father or your mother will not be there for you forever.
Very true.
I took a child. There's a girl that when I was in, and just allow me to say this, or asked this question. There's a girl that when I was running my college, I had
that was Alphax.
Yes, I had opportunity to talk to this girl because dad and mom were everything to her. Baba, mama, and unfortunately, dad and mom, when they go to the club, they would carry her along. She was, her name was Elizabeth. I sat with this girl and I asked this girl, what would happen if you did not have dad and mom? Because at your age now, you are actually past going, you're actually graduating from adolescence. And she told me, no, dad and mom will always be, always be with me. Dad, and so I saw the photo on the, the obituaries, and she was so broken.
Devastated.
Completely devastated. She did not know her back or her forth. Could not tell you. She could not define her future. It was bleak. She was running into depression.
It was tied to the parents.
It was tied to. We are living in a generation where and it's not just a problem of the generation, but also our generation, us as parents. We hold on to our children with love that does not help, but love that kills.
They remain babies forever.
Absolutely. Babies forever. When an eagle wants to get the eaglet to fly, it would carry it and take it to the sky and leave it. So it begins to this is how life is. We want to give them the Cerelac. We want to make sure that they are still babies. They're with us. We want to feel the warmth. And at the end of the day, we are destroying a generation.
Very true.
A big generation. And so I wouldn't like to blame this generation. I think the dynamics have changed. The paradigms and know where do you want to take your child and make sure that you train your child. And this training doesn't have to be the nice, beautiful, sweet training.
Pampering.
Major mistakes. Even with all my children, I've made mistakes. There are times I've been just too nice. I've been too good. You want this, I give you. You want this, I give you. And we fought there. Yeah. So I think what I would say is that we are living in very interesting times. Very interesting times, and it's even going to be more interesting as we get into the next future.
As we get into the next, which is coming out so well. But now shifting into the business person that you are, the businessman, we've seen you grow an empire. I'm sure about that. But what are your principles in doing what you're doing?
What are my principles? Let me just walk you through, later.
Okay.
Neither did I start the academy. I've had a journey. The first business that I ever did was computer training.
Okay.
And I did training in Nairobi. Actually, my first million was from Elgeyo Marakwet.
Oh, surprisingly.
Yes, first million was from Elgeyo Marakwet, E10.
You are teaching there?
I was teaching. I'm the one who trained. Then I got the entire contract to do computers there through. It was a Dutch-sponsored program, so they gave me that to do, and that's where I got my first million. So I trained computers, and I ran a small college in Nairobi. Finally shifted here, then ran a college for computers.
Moved from Nairobi to now settle in Eldoret and also starting this college. And also teaching?
It's a long story. And you can get this from a different podcast that I had. Some kind of a cartel that wanted to eliminate me after they actually stole 3 of my vehicles and, sold them out. And, I reported this to the family. And they told me, be careful. This is Nairobi. This is not where you come from in Western Kenya. So be very careful. And we had the showground. I came to, showcase what I do. And I loved Eldoret. I schooled here. And I remember, I was staying in a hotel, people who wanted to do away with your life. But also, too, I am not a city boy. Which is too big for me.
Okay.
I love rural, I'm a rural boy, so I love rural. I found more comfort here, and I came and established. Too difficult for me, too big for me. I had run into small problems in Nairobi. My adventure, so I decided to come to Eldoret. One of the things that I find strength in, or I find great strength in, I'm a dreamer. And this explains why I've started many small businesses that some have failed, some have succeeded. I dream a lot.
Executing the dream.
Executing the dream. You know, sometimes I run until my wife tells me, hey, you've gone too far.
Take it slow.
You know, take it slow. I get so main reason that, you know, you know, when I sit, I am able to look at opportunities. I don't do the normal things that people want to do. You know, just to mention to us, I was teaching at class the other day. I'm a trainer, by the way. I love training. And I was telling these people, if you opened a butcher, you know, you're successful. In a month or 2 or 3, you'll have another butcher. In another 1, 2, 3 months, you'll have another one. And within the in business here right now is clubbing. There are clubs all over. And clubs are being opened all over. That is not entrepreneurship. You know, there is, when you get me? When you are unique within an environment, and you're providing unique service, you enjoy the benefit of clients. Is when you are the person everybody's, you know, the sole person everybody is looking for. And that is why some of the sharks, the businessmen, the gurus, the rich, the wealthy. So when I'm in a place, I scan around. What is this that is not in Eldoret?
So that is how you came to Eldoret?
Yes. What is this that is not in Eldoret? I noticed that they denied a unique service. And that's when I landed. And I think for around 10 years, I was the computer college. And
that was your first now business in Eldoret?
Yes, that computer, you know, the senior ones studied in my college.
Your college.
Later we had computer colleges everywhere. People used to come to my college and they, you know, pretend to be customers. They want to took it and copy pasted. And
but the name is different.
You know, the name on top there is different, but the font, everything is
yours.
That's how we do business in Kenya. That's how we do business in Eldoret. And that's not how to town. And this town is growing. This town is becoming big. There are services that we need here that are not here. People want services there, they'll have to go to the airport. And I've talked about clubbing. You know, there are many others. So for any businessman who wants to develop, scan your environment. What is this unique thing that you will bring to Eldoret? You know, you'll be shocked that once you are here, by the time guys are beginning time. And that's the way you will make money, and also that's the way we will be able to grow
the town.
You know, grow our businesses and grow the town and grow the city. Yeah, so that, because this is one of its own in Eldoret. We'll be very happy to see many people streaming. But trust me, give yourself another 1 year. You'll have everybody, and somebody else will copy and the one who was copied from you, and it becomes a chain. We think that we are developing. That's not how we develop a town. Yeah.
So after opening the college now, fax?
I ran the college, and it grew. My college grew. People have asked me why, and I want to address businessmen. You'll allow me to digress here a bit, because, and I'm saying this without, get yourself involved in politics. You bring your that you need to be very civil about. One is religion, and the other thing is business.
It's business.
Is about, you know, the religion that you want to push. You know, people disagree on religion. People disagree on tribe.
So majorly you can say that Halifax came down because
absolutely,
of politics.
that was one. That was one, because we moved down, and I realized that because you go to somebody and they say, sasa wewe tulifikiria wewe ni mtu wetu, ulienda huku. Do you get me? And politics become neutral. Do your business, because your clients come from different political persuasions.
Very true.
But if you want to trade at the lower end of the triangle, where you're comfortable, you know, the middle class, you're comfortable on the altar of politics. Number two, I had the Commission of Higher Education kept on changing goals as we were doing collaboration with universities. I ended up collaborating with major universities, and at one particular point I had like the entire college. Then I moved to another university, asked whether we could collaborate. We were able to collaborate. And then later again, you know, the commission is no collaboration. Then again, we have to move to. So I got to a point and I said, no, I think all this, you know, changing goalposts over the Commission of Higher Education, TVET and things like that. You know, I used to have problems with students. And I spent so much time counseling. Students who are rogue. You know, study there, he studies in a different college because he cheated the parents. Or you never see a parent, even if you try to get them. We used to have, I spent so much time, and I developed interest on mentoring the young.
Okay.
That's one other main reason that made me
to get into mentorship.
Move from the, you know, a problem, you know, solving a problem of many children who have grown in schools and nobody really took care of them. So I moved where we are. We've had our ups and downs, but I really want to push it to the next level. And by the way, also let me state here that, you know, for the sake, the land where Halifax is not my land. It belongs to government. It belongs to the Kenya Forest Service. So I'm just a tenant.
Okay. So it's under a lease or something?
Just a lease. So that sasa si ukuji uendelee na kitu.
Proceed from here.
Proceed from here.
Now
I'll have left something for the society.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Just a preview also on how was Noble born. What is it that I know it's a
I went to one of the hotels in town. I had harbored an ambition of not starting a college, but starting you know, leadership institute. Paid for everything, around 700,000.
You were still in college?
No. I was, you know, working. So somebody paid for my going to Hawaii. You know,
this is what I want to.
This is what I want to do. And so I come to one of the hotels. I wasn't going to build it immediately. And one of the hotels in town, I remember when he was actually having his staff meeting in the hall I was supposed to have my guests. And I went to him, and you know, that time we had like, if you think you have a better place, you went there.
That was rogue.
That was real bad. And this is the problem of, you know, when you are a monopoly. You get me? Anytime I went to sleep, I used to, it was bitter. I felt very bitter, very bitter. If you think you have a better place, you went there. You get me? Without a plan, I told them so action-oriented. I just drew something on the paper, got a fundi to do it, and told him, chimba hapa. I brought kokoto. I was building without a plan.
Without a plan, definitely.
I realized,
But you had acquired the piece of land.
That land was mine. You know, I had built like 4 units, and I was arrested by the municipal. You know, that time it was not county. You're building without a plan. Where's the plan? I just saw vehicles driving and my wheelbarrows taken.
The question is, you ignored that fact. Procedures.
You know, procedures. My wife is good. She's my speedometer. She tells me, hey, This time I went a bit too fast. So I remembered later and get my plans drawn and change of user. Yeah. But I had to pay a bit of some money to get myself done. So that's the way the birth of the Noble started, into place. At the end of the day, the rest is history.
As they say.
As they say, the rest is history. Okay. But I'm not a hotelier, by the way. That's not my.
Okay.
So when I was building this, I was building it in reaction to a guy who told me, nitaka nimuoneshe, kwani unafikiria nini?
Hata mimi naweza kuanzisha.
Yes, well later, interesting enough, one day he actually walked into the Noble, the manager.
Did you remind him?
No, I didn't. But
who owns?
Yeah, I don't know who owns, but I also work here.
Okay.
Later got to find out. But I was talking now of future.
In the future.
So you need to know how to handle that person, because you never know where you will ever meet. The business environment is dynamic. People change positions, people change businesses. Tomorrow I'm your client, tomorrow you'll be my client. Yeah. Tomorrow you're going to help me, you be my bridge. You help me get a deal somewhere. Tomorrow I'll be your bridge, help you get a deal somewhere. And so
we are having a great conversation with one Mr. Kevin Okwara, and the insights are very from Facebook. That is on the CEO show live, and also we are on YouTube. Make sure you go there, share, subscribe, and always drop a comment, so that at the end of the show will be Okwara. We'll be taking a short break, then we come back shortly, and then we keep this conversation going. Thank you. Great conversation here with one Mr. Kevin Okwara. We've learned about his journey to where he is, and we've learned a lot, but can we narrow down now to the values that you've put in place and built is now the Noble? What is it that keeps you going, the values that you've learned over time?
Let me help us a bit, and I'll answer this question in why is it that I'm now relaxing to do majorly 2 businesses. You know, I've had a journey.
Yeah.
I told you I've had a journey. I subscribe to the text here. You get to realize that people in biblical times were actually known by what they do. Fisherman.
The fisherman.
You get me? Joseph, the father of Jesus, was the carpenter. You know, he was known as the carpenter. Paul, the one who wrote, you know, Joseph was, a shepherd. You know, David was a shepherd. And people need you once they know. You know, I get very excited when I go to markets and they say, "Oh, ule kamau wanyama." It's a very nice thing.
You are known for something.
You are known for something. And to begin an enterprise. I tell people, you know, people ask me, "Okwara, you made many mistakes," but my journey was a journey of self. Be known for something. Let people identify you with a particular trade. You know, that failure, you run the school, you're running a factory, you're selling charcoal, you know, you don't get is very important.
Very important.
Develop your brand. What is done known for? When I see done, what comes into my mind? I talk about when you mention Mwangi, you know, equity begins to, I'm sorry to mention that, but equity just comes.
Into your...
Make sure that you have that, develop it, build it. 2 is, as you build your brand, make sure that you're consistent, you over-advertise. They are, you know, they become loyal to your product because you're consistent. Consistency is for you to close, but you're still walking. Then these guys who say I will never watch that show, they realize it is all over. Then they say,
keep doing it.
Consistency. The major food outlets like Java or KFC or you know, have a here in Eldoret, and I fly to Afghanistan and I get a KFC there. The same chips, the same flavor, the same standard is what I will get in Afghanistan. I have guys who, you know, open businesses and maybe you run into a problem, you shut, start something else, run into a problem, you shut. I had a really good marketer and we talked, then I didn't buy. Then within 4 or 5 months, he says, "Okwara, I came back and said, now I'm selling cars." You know, very good talker. He's trying, you know, we need to be consistent. We need to develop our identity. We need to develop our brand. That's very important. I have mentioned and build a network. Businesses are social organisms. Sometimes we develop businesses and we think that we, you know, it's about us. It's not about you, it's about people. You know, and so who is the most important aspect in your business? It's the take care of the people element. Other things will easily fall into place. Because it's people who put you where you're going to build you, and the same people will break you. Will bring you down. So learn how to build a robust social network like Eldoret Club, and you know, because it's about interaction, it's about people. You need to learn how to network. There is not a single businessman who is in business get into business and you're antisocial, stop it.
Find something else to do.
Find something else to do. Because business is about networking, you know, and forget about other prejudices. That's a very important, you know, aspect. And I tell people, if you're going to get into business, make sure you build nets. You know, counted in money. It's not counted in the big, vast pieces of land. Because you can strip that from somebody. Wealth is counted on your network. The people around you make you rich. Those values for me are very, very important. You know, as you begin to, of course, they'll begin to investigate what values you subscribe to, honesty, and you know, honesty and many others. If you talk about values, that they are honesty, integrity, you know, truthfulness. All those are values that you have to bring into your business. But I think, you know, as you deal with people, look at, I need to be consistent in what I'm doing. Do you get me? And then know how to live. Wanasema kwa mtaa, jua kukaa na watu. Jua kukaa na watu. Unasikia? Jua na watu. Jua kukaa na watu. So jua kukaa na watu kwa biashara. And I'll say this consistently. I have, and I can pinpoint businesses in this town, came to you because they could not get elsewhere. Anywhere else. And you bullied them. You mishandled them. You didn't deal with them right. The day somebody came into town with a similar something, absolutely, you know, it happened to me, and I was dealt with very badly, and I had to go and open and open. And I took a chunk of his clients. Do you get me? So know how to deal with people. I think any businessman that wants to get into business, once you've identified, one of the most important things is just know the art of dealing with people. The other things will easily fall into place. The other things will easily fall into place. Absolutely.
So number one, you talk about now building a brand. You talk about consistently doing it. Because somebody says that you have to specialize until you become special. And then also you talk now about social, what you call social capital.
I've told the social capital. Build your social capital. You know, when I talk about consistency, and I've said your product is consistent, make sure your services are consistent. Make sure whatever you offer, you know, in terms of its integrity or its. I used to go to, those days I was in Nairobi, I loved drinking tea in somewhere called Tea Room. There was a particular, until today, I think it's River Road. There's a particular hotel that was known for tea, and their tea was the same. And you'd go there, it is full, it's the same. It is called Tea Room until today. In the 80s, it was Tea Room. Today, it's still Tea Room. Go to Nairobi, there's a Tea Room. This is a place. And the standard. Break this down into many other things. But I've given you very simple, very simple, layman, you know, things that you can use. Who is done? Let people know you with this. Do you get me? Number two, be consistent, because consistency will build your brand. And we've seen you growing one business, another one. About innovation. There is a young person who is watching this. To start a business and also to implement a business, what are the things that you consider and you look into, forgetting about now the capital bit of it? The most important thing, there are people who are kept, you know, in very nice places, very nice conditions, just to think. We, you know, I don't see too much innovation in our people today. And the copy paste. We love to copy paste, and it's an aspect of laziness. You know, the most important part that God ever gave you is the mind. When you corrupt your mind, you are unable to think, you're unable to innovate. That God has given every human being an ability to think, an ability to dream. And sometimes this ability can stretch. Innovation is a whole science, because at the end of the day, it involves critical thinking, it involves asking questions, it involves experiments, it involves many things. But at the end of the days, and this is the Mzungu concept, towns had parks. You know parks? Where you had places people could go and sit and just relax. People don't understand. I go to park. You need to employ this mind, this thing between your brain, between your 2 ears.
Yes.
That's the most precious thing that God ever gave you, your mind. Out of this mind, ideas can come out, and bright, strong, eternal ideas given conducive environments just to think, to innovate. Do you get me? How many times, and I always give this and allow me to say it here, about innovation and the way we do things, because we see things happening. One young girl asked the grandmother, why is it that when you cook your fish, you cut the head and the tail? Mother, why is it that when you cook fish, you cut the head and the tail? And said, go and ask your grandmother. And she went to the grandmother and asked the grandmother, why is it that when you had to cut the tail and the head? And the great grandmother tells this lady, this young girl, that during our times, we used to have a very small frying pan. And the fish was very big.
Very big.
So we didn't need the head and the tail. The flesh, in the middle was enough for us. But you see, we've carried along that until the third generation. And it's simply because that's where innovation is. We do things because so and so did it. You get me? Kenya is ready for takeoff. That's something, you break it down, what somebody has brought from China, and you ask yourself, really? Would you go and bring all this metal from China when you can actually do it where? Here.
Even matchbox.
We know people have been condemned because they have failed, but scientists have failed several times. I need to see young boys and girls who critically analyze, asking very hard questions. Can these things be done here? Yes. When I was born, we used to import Kisiagi mines, where we innovate, we actually build factories, our own factories. That's the only way that will push this economy to the next. Innovation. Otherwise, we should not just be consumers. Mtu anakufikiria huko, alafu anafanya nini? Anakuletea. So they are thinking on our behalf. We have so impressed when I see in the village somebody is trying a helicopter. That's an innovator. The other day I was talking to a young boy who says he used to break TVs and, and you ask him, did you go for rain? Do you get me?
Yeah.
Ukiambia mtu tumia akili, anaona ni kama namtusi. But I think, vizuri kuambia mzee, please tumia akili yako bwana, because that's the most precious thing that God.
Your thoughts.
You cannot?
You can never act beyond your thoughts, what you think about. And also, it is something that it is very critical to our current generation. And just to connect with that, because that's some of the things that contribute to this.
That's a very interesting subject. I'm dealing. I confront mental issues with people at workplace. There are those. It would, it's something out there. It hit home. It's come to my family. A conversation that we need to have today. The minds of people are either stolen or corrupted. I have grown in religion. I have grown in church. But if there's something that was ever going to destroy me, was my fanatical church beliefs. Lost their minds at very different altars. And if there's anything I'll say here today that you need to guard for this present generation, is the mind. Alcohol can make you have a nice feeling, but alcohol also can bring depression if it is abused. I'm shocked at the peddled all over, from the police station to the courts, to the hospitals, and even to churches. I can name to you a pastor one. It's also bad because at the end of the day, it's destroying our minds. We can't think. Somebody else is thinking on our behalf. I met a young guy. All through, I have left the bank. I can't even think because I'm now so imprisoned to this thing, gadget, to think on my behalf. I would, I'd like to say this. It's something that we need to give a lot of attention. At workplaces, who are very responsible, they're getting psychotic. Wanaruka kichwa. It's happening. Sleep patterns. People don't sleep. I used to be one of the guys who Facebooking or they're on phone throughout, and it spoils your mind. If there's something that you'd rather guard, and guard, so he is, you will not be able to develop beyond what your mind thinks.
Okay.
An end called giggle. Garbage in,
garbage out.
Garbage out. And so I go and get so much garbage, and I think I'll give garbage something good,
something different.
We are consuming a lot. And so mental illness is not my subject, but I'll tell you it is something that I've taken cognizance of, and it's hit. I was reading statistics that around 60% of pastors in the US are absolutely.
Our time is far spent, but now just there is the emotive issue of, and a lot of people fail, especially from SMEs, they fail to control when it comes to money and finances. Some fail to make the right decision. And talk about financial decision, also it comes into the overuse of credit facilities. Sometimes you find that a young person is starting this business. How have you managed to handle finances? I know at your level you have specialists, you have accountants, you have auditors and what have you, but there is this layman, the lower cadre.
Dan, who doesn't love money?
Everybody loves.
Everybody loves money.
Yeah.
Money is good. Wanasemanga ni sabuni ya. To have it in our pockets. We want to make sure bank accounts are, are good. We want to make sure that, if there's anything I need to buy, I can afford it. And so, greed. I have been auctioned around twice. You get me? The first time, I made a wrong financial managing because I know my appetite for money sometimes can be huge. I have a speedometer who is my wife, and she's my financial accountant. And I've given all say this to our young people, that allow your business to grow systematically, organically. So that you do not want to, I'm not competing against myself, I'm competing against my peers. You get me? And so Dan has a Range Rover. I also want a what?
Two-horn one.
I also want to run at beautiful studio like this. And so greed drives us to want, to acquire. And because the finance, you find a guy has debt all over. And he does not know whatever money he took, what he used it for. It was basically like asset base. Borrow money to get your working capital. Borrow money that can be seed, that can help you make more money. Unable to drive because I don't have money to buy a car. Ndugu, tumia matatu.
Confidently.
Confidently. Vaa tai yako, tumia matatu, enda nyumbani. My brother, when they're selling a loan to you, they send you beautiful girls. Very nicely looking to girls who will come and get into buying it. The day you default, that beautiful girl will not come to your place. They'll send you some mean looking guy. Tell you, my friend, usipolipa hii kitu, tunakumaliza. Banks are nice when you borrow, but they can be crude when you don't.
Rarely do people read even.
People rarely read those small letters. You know, I want to be debt free in the next 5, 6, 7 years. I want to be debt free. Generate money. Generate money that you can spend. Don't spend money that you do not generate. Do you get me?
Yeah.
Pesa ya bank siyo yako, ni ya watu gani? Ni ya bank. Generate your own money and have it. Don't compete with your peers. Compete with yourself.
Very important. Just responses that we're getting. Somebody is saying here, there's a great man we look up to, great lessons that we are getting. Inspiring. We soldier on because of such mentors. Break the rules. We'll get back in a few. And then we'll speak. There is a very thin line between success and failure. As we'll be taking our last bit of the show, so that we deal into that and also respond to 1, 2, 3 questions that we've gotten from our viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the CEO show, and tonight is a few questions that you've sent in. We'll be back in a minute. Getting some serious nuggets of wisdom. As we are going to the break, I mentioned you are somebody who has gone through failure and successes both in equal measures, if not equal, then in proportions. You mentioned about closing some branches. What is it that keeps you going?
Dan, failure is good and failure is also bad. Failure is bad, you know, they want to see success. And so failure is bad in that sense. You know, the fact that you're dejected and rejected. Some of the most deep lessons in life were never learned. People failed. Failure brings you down to ground zero. Failure brings you to a meditative stage. Failure, guy or man who, you know, guy or man or woman who is, they don't listen when they're successful. They listen when they have failed. Failure breaks you. It humbles. you can learn very invaluable lessons. When you sit down and reflect, why did I fail? You're able, they failed. And they learned lessons after that, which they were able to navigate through and do the next thing. So failure is good in that sense. We do not have any successes, and success is never beautiful unless you have the scars of failure. Every successful man, every successful woman in the world. So some of us have learned very invaluable lessons in business. We have people who fail, and you know, since I love to talk about entrepreneurship, I post something on social media and somebody says, biashara ni ngumu. You ask that person, how many times have you failed? I only tried once and I failed. People have done it once, twice. Resilience kept them. They knew they were looking for something. It's like they were digging for gold and finally they succeeded. And so failure, whatever failure, even the way I talk, I'm not talking out of book knowledge. I'm talking about things that I have gone through. I failed in my social life, I failed in my parenting, I failed in my business, I failed in many things, I failed in my Christianity. I failed, do you get me? But I've learned invaluable lessons, you get me? So success is good. And you know, when you're successful, you're blissful, you're happy. You know, I'll tell you, when politicians make it house, they don't listen. They can't hear anybody because they're puffed up. When you make, you know, Dan, today you can sit humbly with me here, 50 million or 1 billion shillings. Then we want to see the smile that Dan has, because it will change your thinking. You know, money, success comes with many children. You know, it comes with pride, it comes with arrogance. Success comes with self-entitlement. Cousins and children, you know, that sometimes destroy you. And that's why it's very difficult to get a successful man to sit down into your head.
Thank you. Quite some insights that I just want to see myself when I get 50 billion in my account. Who is also, we've spoken about family, and it is a very emotive issue. You're a busy man to some extent, and also you have family here. How do you...
2 young boys who I personally don't think I gave them enough time. They went to school, and then the love that I should have given them. But besides that, I work with my wife. You know, we are buddies, we are friends. See her in the mornings. My boys are now big. One is out of the country, he's working. The other one is battling, has a bit of health problems, but it's going to be okay. So to trade anything for family. And again, let me say this. You can be celebrated outside by all kinds of people. People who celebrate you. But the person who will ever miss you are not your customers, but is your wife. You know, when he was in hospital, the church members were there. You get me? Oh, Paul, you know, wherever and whatever. And he died. And within one, you could be working in government. You could be you know, a good businessman. But remember, when you die, you'll be replaced. Family is
very, very key.
Yes.
Okay, so just because our time is much spent, ladies and gentlemen, we can have a parting shot to these upcoming entrepreneurs.
I just wondering what I need to tell these people. But we have great opportunities. If I was asked to work and do business, I maybe wouldn't do it the way I'm doing. We are living in an age where opportunities are immense. Renewable energy. Right now, if you want to attract funding, you can attract it in those 3 areas. Technology, renewable energy, and food. We are facing a huge problem on food security in the world. Mm-hmm. The populations are growing, but we do not have sufficient. There are people willing to invest in any innovation on technology. Mm-hmm. There are people willing to invest on any innovation in renewable energy. You know, there is no money. I have pitched for people. Mm-hmm. Before Sharks. I pitched for a friend of mine, 58 million, 28 million grant. It depends on where you've positioned yourself. Mm-hmm. How do you position yourself? You know, when you get to a forest, mm-hmm. you may not see butterflies. I saw butterflies. When you get to the business world and your mind does not see the much money that is flowing around, you'll always have this in your mind: there is no money.
There's no money.
Whom do you interact with? There is so much capital here. There's so much outside. The world is waiting for you young men and women. The way to go is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship. Things are changing. The paradigms are changing. Work culture is vanishing. Mm-hmm. Things are changing. Let us embrace this change and make money. There's so much money that is in the world. Depends of, you know.
Thank you. If you want to say something, you'll see something. If you want to say nothing, you will see nothing. Also, if you want to say money, definitely
you will see money.
You will see money.
Beautiful.
I think that's the parting time to share such great insights. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, you've learned great lessons from growing a business, from startups, and also from maintaining also very well. For such great insights, we'll always be here to host such amazing guests, and we are so privileged to have you here. So, ladies and gentlemen, ensure that you keep the conversations guest. He also runs some mentorship. We can always get in touch for us to ensure that we keep this conversation going. So, go to YouTube, that you are interactive. Until next week, we are going to have another great guest who is going to give great insights. Even more. So, ladies and gentlemen, for tonight, it is a wrap, and I cannot forget to leave you with the quote that at the end of the day,